had and very fancy, very nice. That was the dictator's image of the Dominican Republic. That around the whole capital city was a big disaster. So in 1961, 1960, in those age, we have these masses of people coming from all over the country to the capital city. And this is how the capital city is now formed. It's made of all of these people. And this is part of what you find when you walk and drive through the capital city, Santo Domingo. This is one of our neighborhoods. Most of the people that came from all of those little villages around the country, they came with whatever they had in their hands. They sold maybe a piece of land they owned, or they sold the cows or the properties that they had, and they moved to the capital city. What they found is the reality that even though it was already free now, the country, it was still very expensive to live the style of the capital city. And the land was very expensive, and there was no jobs for those that didn't have the preparation or the education to apply for them. It was not only just to come and to the big, good opportunity of the Holy Land. It was a place where you have to prove that you have the capacity and the preparation to work and get a job and develop. So most of the people, out of those millions that were moving from all of those places to the capital city, they found themselves without much hope again. And what happens was, they just work around the capital city, trying to find the places where they can build their houses, where they can move in. And the land was owned basically by the government, or by the University of the State, or by some other private people, and they squatted the land. They took pieces of properties, and they just moved in. And they built houses like this that you see. This is a picture that's been taken from the roof of one of our projects. So every house is like one on top of the other, very close, very tight, very, I don't know how can you describe that. You have to be there and see it so you can understand what it means. But it's like every house is right by the side of the other, and there's no streets in between. There's no firefighter stations. There's no school building. There's no police station. They just took the land and built whatever they could. And what happened was, they built a house one day. Next day, the police will come and turn it down. The house was built maybe out of wood or some kind of metal. Next morning, the guys will build it again. Next day, the police will turn it down again. And that will go for weeks and weeks until somebody gets tired. Guess who gets tired first? The police or the authority. So eventually, they just kept the communities and they built it that way. And this is how most of Santo Domingo, if you search the Google Earth map and you go to Santo Domingo and try to see this capital, you're going to find some very nice towers and buildings in some areas, but most of the capital city looks like this. Now we have jokes that we tell about ourselves in the Dominican Republic because of the way we live and the way we build our communities. You can imagine, this is just a section of the community. There's thousands of houses like this, and we say something like, in the Dominican Republic, people who are living in these kind of communities, at night, everybody has the same dream. Because it's so close, all together. The dream just comes to everybody at the same time. Or they wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning to rest. And you know, when you live in a place like this, everybody knows everything about everybody. It's a really community. You know, you can hear the baby cry 3 or 4 houses down the road. You know when somebody is fighting, you know when somebody is in trouble, you know when somebody is very happy. We are very loud as a country. So everybody who owns a little radio, they turn that volume up so everybody will hear the music that you want them to hear. And it's just fun. I mean, we are in between the poverty, the situation, and all that's going on. It's a very happy environment when people are joyful and playing and having fun. This is just another view of when you are actually walking into the community. There's not many roads you can drive a vehicle. In some of the places where we are working, you cannot drive a vehicle to the project where we're working. You have to park someplace and then walk through alleys like this to get to where you're going. And this is just one picture of that. And the type of houses you can still see on the side People are always in the street, always talking on the outside, just because there's not much to do. In the beginning of that particular community, where this picture has been taken, where we have on our project, most of the houses were built like this. You see, like a little metal part on the bottom, some wood. So if the police will turn it down, there's not much to lose, but they will build it again next day. And this is the way that you will find most of the Dominican neighborhoods in Santo Domingo grow. I was one of those. I'm part of that same idea. My family, father and my mother, they both came in the early 70s from little towns, little villages to the capital city. And when they came, just to give you an idea, my father's family was working in a farm of coffee and cocoa. And they sold whatever they had. My father's education was up to 5th grade. And my mom's education, that was working with her sister in another house as a maid, her education was up to 2nd grade. So when they came to the capital city, they were just one of those thousands or maybe hundreds of thousands of people early in the 70s that came to Santo Domingo trying to find a job or an opportunity. One day, I don't know what my father said, but as a good Dominican man, I know he'd find words to say to my mom so she'd fall in love with him. And I don't know what words she preferred to hear from him, that she trust what he said, and one day they were a family. My father didn't have a job. He didn't know what to do to keep a family sustaining, to raise a family. But they were in love, and 9 or 10 months later, guess who appeared in the scene? So now we were 3. What my father did was the same. He and many other people, they took a piece of land in the midst of the capital city, not even around the capital city, in the center of the capital city. They squatted a line of land that was open, and again, the same story was repeated. And eventually, my family and other thousands of families, they kept a land in the center of the capital city. So now my mother's house and my father's house is located in the center of the metropolitan area in Santo Domingo, but this is still one of those very poor communities that is similar to everywhere in the country. And a year after I was born, my sister Mary was born. 2 years later, my sister Shayla was born. And a year after that, my brother Alexis was born. So we were 6 people living in one of those houses, just like the one we saw. Something similar to one of these houses, any of this. Very small, very tiny. My father, he didn't know exactly what to do to raise our family. So he learned with one of his relatives to cook what we call in my country empanadas. It's a fried thing that you cook with meat inside. And he would just walk in the community every morning trying to sell a box of those empanadas. And the day that it was raining, it was a bad day. The day that was a sunny day, it was okay. But one day, he got the opportunity to go to a business, government building in the capital city, and he got permission to be there every day. So hundreds of people walking through that building will be the customers that he will sell those empanadas. So eventually we got in a better position. And as we were growing and growing in the community, my father got a little bit better, but not more than the average in the community. And what happens is, when you are a kid growing in that kind of community, you were just a happy boy or a happy girl. And it doesn't matter that you have or you don't have many things. You don't know any difference. When you are a kid in that area, you have fun, you play with whatever you have in your hands, you love your family, you just have fun around it. But there's a time when you open your eyes and you realize that you are missing some basic things. Maybe in your home, we're supposed to eat 3 times a day, but you realize you only have food at home 2 times a day. Or you're going to school and you're in 4th grade and you need 4 or 5 textbooks or 4 or 5 composition books, and you only have 2 or 3 of those, and maybe very used in the past. And you have only 1 pair of shoes, 2 pairs of pants, one set of uniforms. In my country, everybody has to wear a uniform to go to school. So when you have only one set of uniforms, Monday to Friday, by Wednesday, your uniform is very dirty. So if you wash it 2 or 3 times every week, after 2 or 3 months, that uniform is almost white, no matter if it was black or green, because of all the cloths and everything. So you kind of open your eyes to that reality, and you fix that, you try to help in that when you look at your older friends, and then you see the solution. I don't know if you can see in this picture a familiar face. I don't know that you know anybody there, but maybe that face looks like this face. I know, it was when I was only 11 years old. And this is me and my friends in my community working in a mechanic garage. There's one guy who is older than me, but there's 3 who are obviously younger than me. And this is what most of the children in my country still today, when they get to be 10, 11, 12, they have to do. It's not that they have a choice. In most cases, they really have to help their family budget, and they need to find a place where they can go and make a little bit of money to help their income for the family and help them pay for some of their educational costs. I went to that mechanic garage after I talked to my dad, and then he helped me get that little job. And every other Saturday, I would get 50 pesos as a salary. And out of that money, I'll give some of the money to my mother, some of the money will be for me, for my own fun thing to do, which means maybe to get some good ice cream or cornflakes or a juice or go to the movie. And some of the money was to be safe. Now, I was in 4th grade when this picture was taken. And when I was moving to 5th grade, I asked my